Okay, now instead of writing out the equations as I have here, I'm going to write out a matrix that represents our equation. Okay, my matrix is going to have just the numbers 2, 3, and 8. In other words, I'm going to write, well, let me write down 2, 3, 8. And we're going to make the convention that a row represents the numbers in the linear equation. The first number in the row represents the coefficient of x, which in this case is 2. The second number in the row represents the coefficient of y, that's 3. And the third represents the number to the right of the equal sign, that's 8. And I do the same for the second equation. So the number in front of x needs to go here, that number is 4. The number in front of y needs to go here, that's negative 2. The number to the right of the equal sign needs to go here, that's 0. Now we understand that these are the x coefficients, these are the y coefficients, this is what's to the right of the 0. Now I can do exactly the same thing to the rows of this matrix that I did to these equations. First thing I did with the equations is let me label it. Okay, I've got row 1 and row 2. Now I repeat row 1, but I do negative 2 times row 1 plus row 2. Now that's going to give me the same numbers I have here, but I'm not going to just copy them down. I'm going to do it as you would do it if you had the matrix here, because if you start doing this by the matrix, you never actually write it out like this. But at any step, you know what the result means. And let's just illustrate it. Okay, so I'm going to make the matrix a little thicker in this direction. So the first row is repeated, so we just do 2, 3, 8. The second row is obtained by multiplying negative 2 times the first and adding that to the second. So I'm going to do negative 2 times this and add it to this. Negative 2 times this and add it to this. Negative 2 times this and add it to this. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Added to 4 gives me 0. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Added to negative 2 gives me negative 8. Negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. Added to 0 gives me negative 16. Now, of course, this stands for an equation, but I'm not going to look at the equations anymore. Okay, the equation should be 2x plus 3y equals 8, negative 8y equals negative 16. That's exactly what this means, because remember, these numbers, each row is an equation, and the first number in the row is the coefficient of x, second number is the coefficient of y, third number is the number to the right of 0. Okay, now I'm going to, I don't want negative 8 there. I want a 1 there. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to repeat row 1. There's something I could do to row 1, and normally would, but let's not worry about it right now. And I'm going to do negative 1/8 times row 2. And what I get is row 1 is still 2, 3, 8. Row 2 is going to be 0, because negative 1/8 of 0 is 0. Negative 1/8 of negative 8 is 1. Negative 1/8 of negative 16 is 2. Now that stands, as you know, for 0x plus y equal 1y equals 2, just y equals 2. But again, we don't necessarily think of that at this point. Okay, then I want to get a 0 here, because getting a 0 here is going to actually give me an equation that corresponds just to an equation with x and no y. So we can easily solve an equation of that nature. So I'm going to do negative 3 times the second row plus the first. And then I'm going to do just the second row, because the second row already has my solution for y. So that gives me what? Negative 3 times 0 is 0 added to 2 gives me 2. Negative 3 times 1 gives me negative 3. Add that to 3 and we get 0. And negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Add that to 8, we get 2. And then we repeat the second row, 0, 1, 2. Now, if we think of what the equation would be, we see we have here an equation we can easily solve for x. This one already gives us a solution for y, but we're going to just continue manipulating these rows for one more step, and we're going to just take 1/2 of row 1, and we're going to repeat row 2. And what are we going to get? Okay, 1/2 of row 1. 1/2 of 2 is 1. 1/2 of 0 is 0. 1/2 of 2 is 1. And 0, 1, 2. Now we can translate this back into an equation. The equation is going to be x equals 1. Well, the equations, we translate each row into an equation. First equation gives us x equals 1. Second row gives us y equals 1. So we've completed the process.